Welcome to this Substack experience. This is where we will be journeying through The Artist Way, which is an incredible book that I finally finished this summer. I look forward to going through it together with you. So this week, we're actually not diving into chapter one. We're going over orientation. There are a few things she talks about in the beginning of the book before we even get to chapter one. And I really wanted to make sure that one, I read it to you, and that two, we had a really good understanding of what she's asking of us. So if there's any questions that come up for you, any things that you're like, look, I kind of struggle with this idea or whatever, this is the time to go ahead and drop it in the chat. Let us know. Not only can I speak to it, but I'm sure other people will be able to chit chat with you too and let you know how you're doing. First of all, I'm just really grateful that you all are joining in with me, whether you're watching live or if you're doing the replay. It really means a lot because whenever you're putting something new out into the world, it can be very exciting and a little nerve-wracking of like, okay, is this going to really serve my people? Is this going to be helpful? Going to allow people to feel seen and cared for? Those are always the intentions that I'm setting. Outside of honoring my ancestors and speaking my truths, it's really important to me that people feel that they feel good when they're engaging in content with me. So for this to be the first book that I choose on this platform, I felt like the structure is really great and the lessons that we'll learn together will be really good too. And then by the time we're done, we will be able to really be in our artists, live it, breathe it, be in our art, living in our art. So I'm very excited. Let me know how you're feeling and where you're tuning in from. So we'll be going over the introduction, the spiritual electricity, the basic principles, and the basic tools. You do not need a book for this at all because I'm literally going to be reading it to you. All you need to do is just be here, be present. That's really it. There's like nothing else that you need to do. Introduction. When people ask me what I do, I usually answer, I'm a writer-director and I teach these creativity workshops. The last one always interests them. How can you teach creativity? They want to know. Defiance fights with curiosity on their faces. I can't, I tell them. I teach people to let themselves be creative. Oh, you mean we're all creative? Now disbelief and hope battle it out. Yes. You really believe that? Yes. So, what do you do? This book is what I do. For a decade now, I've taught a spiritual workshop aimed at freeing people's creativity. I have taught artists and non-artists, painters and filmmakers and homemakers and lawyers, anyone interested in living more creatively through practicing an art. Even more broadly, anyone interested in practicing the art of creative living. Yay! Oh, I'm so excited for that. While using teaching and sharing tools, I found, devised, and divined, and been handed. I have seen blocks dissolve and lives transformed by simple process of engaging the great creator and discovering and recovering our creative powers. The great creator? That sounds like some Native American god. That sounds too Christian, too New Age, too stupid, simple-minded, threatening. I know. Think of it as an exercise in open-mindedness. Just think, okay, great creator, whatever that is, and keep reading. This is very similar to when I say whoever it is that you call on to, like plug in whatever's going to allow you to feel safe. Because we all have different names for the entity that we feel safe by and governed for. So I think that's really important to remember too. I think people get really tripped up if they're like, oh, I see that it's just like God or Allah. And I do believe a lot of the messages in religious text or in spiritual text are the same of like, be love, be a loving person, be a good person, have a sense of morality and integrity, do right by people and do right by yourself. So don't let that trip you up. Okay. Allow yourself to experiment with the idea that there might be a great creator and you might get some kind of use from it in freeing your own creativity because the artist way is in essence a spiritual path initiated and practiced through creativity. This book uses the word God. This may be volatile for some of you, conjuring old, unworkable, unpleasant, or simply unbelievable ideas about God as you were raised to understand Him. Please remain open-minded, okay? I'm going to skip over her own journey, but I will share my journey. Hi, Allison. Okay, I'll share my journey before we get into the basic principles. So my own spiritual journey when it comes to creativity, I think it's going to always be. Now that I really understand it more intimately, I've always been a very creative person. I've always been like the black sheep of my family, just kind of doing things that people are like, like it feels weird or unconventional. I've always been a truth teller. I've never been afraid to be uncomfortable in speaking that truth, especially if I felt like it could provide me a sense of safety or allow someone else to feel safe, right? And of course, as you get older, you evolve, you start to pick up on things that might irritate your loved ones or might ostracize you in community with others. And you begin to kind of pick and choose your battles of like when you're going to speak your truth and when you're going to kind of like let it play out and see what happens. And for me, that pivotal moment was like high school was really hard for me because I was coming from like the system that I had in Long Island and then moving full time to Queens because I was living part time between Queens and Long Island. And then going to high school, inner city in Manhattan, and people kind of being like, you're weird for like wanting to talk to trees and hug and do all these things, and really having to figure out, was I going to allow people outside of me to tell me what made sense for me to do, or was it going to do what I wanted to do? I chose to do what I wanted to do, and it came with its own baggage for sure. And the best way that I was able to navigate that baggage in high school was like by deepening my spiritual practice, by exploring what it felt like for me to be myself. That meant me incorporating my Baptist background, going to different churches, learning about different religions, and seeing what parts of it felt really right to me, and kind of cultivating my own practice that has only evolved as I've gotten older. A lot of times I speak about my hoodoo background and how I really lean into that, but that's not a religion to me. That's a practice. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of being and connecting to my ancestors. So creativity has allowed me to do that. It allows me to remember that there's this divinity that lives within me. And when I allow that creativity to come to the forefront, my life is just genuinely better. I am happier. I am kinder. I feel more beautiful. I feel more empathetic. I feel like things are in alignment when I accept and access my creativity, and that's spiritual to me. Let me know if that makes sense because I feel like it does. But if that makes sense, please let me know below, okay? And then we can get into the spiritual electricity, the basic principles that she goes over in this book. There's also a daily read in here that I will make sure to highlight in the timestamp so you guys can use it over and over again. Okay. All right. I'm going to keep reading. Yeah. Yeah. Like you want to find your groove, your understanding. Like it needs to make sense to me. All right. Spiritual electricity, the basic principles. For most of us, the idea that the creator encourages creativity is a radical thought. We tend to think, or at least fear, the creative dreams are egotistical, something that God wouldn't approve of or for us. After all, our creative artist is an inner youngster and prone to childish thinking. If mom or dad express doubt or disapproval for our creative dreams, we may project that same attitude onto a parental God. This thinking must be undone. What we are talking about is an induced or invited spiritual experience. I refer to this process as spiritual chiropractic. We undertake certain spiritual exercises to achieve alignment with the creative energy of the universe. If you think of the universe as a vast electrical sea in which you are immersed and from which you are formed, opening to your creativity changes you from something bobbing in that sea to a more fully functioning, more conscious, more cooperative part of that ecosystem. As a teacher, I often sense the presence of something transcendent, a spiritual electricity, if you will. And I have come to rely on it in transcending my own limitations. I take the phrase inspired teacher to be a quite literal compliment. A higher hand than just my own engages us. Christ said, wherever two or more are gathered together, there I am in your midst. The God of creativity seems to feel the same way. The heart of creativity is an experience of the mystical union. The heart of the mystical union is an experience of creativity. Those who speak in spiritual terms routinely refer to God as the creator, but seldom see creator as the literal term for artist. I am suggesting you take the term creator quite literally. You are seeking to forge a creative alliance, artist to artist, with the great creator. Accepting this concept can greatly expand your creative possibilities. As you work with the tools in this book, as you undertake the weekly tasks, many changes will be set in motion. Chief among these changes will be the triggering of synchronicity. We change and the universe furthers and expands that change. I have an errant shorthand for this that I keep taped by my writing desk. Leap and the net will appear. It is my experience both as an artist and as a teacher that when we move out on faith into the act of creation, the universe is able to advance. It is like opening the gate of the top of a field irrigation system. Once we remove the blocks, the flow moves in. Again, I do not ask you to believe this. In order for this creative emergence to happen, you don't have to believe in God. I simply ask you to observe and note this process as it unfolds. In effect, you will be midwiving and witnessing your own creative progression. Creativity is an experience, to my eye, a spiritual experience. It does not matter which way you think of it. Creativity leading to spirituality or spirituality leading to creativity. In fact, I do not make a distinction between the two. In the face of such experience, the whole question of belief is rendered obsolete. As Carl Jung answered the question of belief late in his life, I don't believe I know. The following spiritual principles are the bedrock of which creative recovery and discovery can be built. Read them through once a day and keep an inner ear cocked for any shifts in attitudes or beliefs. This is so beautiful. Hi, Tori. Hi, Sierra. Hi, Jack. Hi, everybody. This is so incredibly beautiful, what she just speaks about. I think sometimes, and we spoke about this a little earlier, we get limited by our understanding of things, by titles of like, okay, well, I'm not this, so I can't be this, right? I'm not an artist in the main media perspective of painting, of drawing, or singing and dancing, so I can't be an artist, or my profession doesn't allow me to do that. And what she really speaks to is that art is transcendent. Art is everything. There will be some essays on this. Trust me, I've been working on streamlining my passion when it comes to this, but art is everything. Without art, we have nothing. We have no science, no math. Okay. We have no technology without art. It is everything. We have no revolution, no rebellion without art. Art is everything. We have no beauty, no sense of joy without art. We ourselves cannot express and love our humanity without art. That is how crucial it is. And I do always see that coincidence in many of us, especially if you're like a millennial, right? Where we had all these amazing after school art programs when we were younger. And as we got older and got into high school, they started to fade away. And we kind of felt streamlined into this capitalistic world that we're now barely surviving, right? Or we have to disassociate from our inner artists in order to survive the capitalism of today. It is that disconnection that I'm hoping that this journey will um, reconnect us, reconnect us back to our inner artist, our inner child, to those moments where we felt limitless, where we felt like we could be an astronaut and a pop singer if we chose to, where we really allowed ourselves to be art, to make up games on the fly, to sing songs just to sing, whether we were good at it or not. These are all things that make us feel alive and that are important to our existence. And she speaks about that so beautifully here. Like, don't get caught up on the titles of what I speak about. Really sit back and pay attention to how it makes you feel. And then question where that feeling is coming from. If you're feeling a little triggered, right? Or if you're feeling inspired, why? Explore that. Let that be an adventure for you to get to know yourself better. And I feel like that alone, we can close the book and never open it again and just meditate on that on its own. Like, dang, why does this inspire me so much? Or you know what? Why do I kind of feel away when she said that? I felt like there's a part in this book where she talks about being a workaholic, and I really felt like, girl, why are you coming for me? I have drive. I'm ambitious. Please. But I had to really understand, like, no, girl, actually, it's a little uncomfortable because, yeah, you might be addicted to working. And it's not a fun feeling. But the bravery that it takes to even bear witness to something about you that you may love or you may dislike, you need spiritual connection to be able to navigate through it, right? Like, you need the spiritual connection to feel good of like, wow, this thing about me, this quirk, this uniqueness is beautiful and I want to express it to the world. or you need that creativity and that spirituality to help you cope with the fact that maybe you are different, or maybe there are things that you are doing that are harming yourself or that are making you shrink. And now you are aware of it and you need that courage, that belief to move forward and expand again. Okay? Let me know if any of that makes sense to you before we go into the basic principles themselves. And give you guys a few moments. I'm so excited to be doing this with y'all. Like, I'm really so excited. This is going to be so much fun. And please, if something comes up while I'm reading, because I can't really see the screen while I'm reading, and I'm really focusing on being present when I read, because when I read, I tend to also channel. So I'm really like, if you see me slowing down in my reading, it's because I'm trying to be like, okay, what a great insight. Can we say this till after I'm done with this paragraph, please? Because other people are watching me read. There's a lot going on in my head. So please feel free to leave any insights that come up, put them in the chat. I'll be able to scroll up and reread them. Um, you know what I mean? Like, we're doing this together. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, yes, be art, be art. Oh my gosh, soul high. No, so important. Like, be art, like, be art. First off, you are art. Okay, I'm not gonna get into it too much because then we'll get sidetracked. But you are art. Like, your existence is a miracle. Like, you're literally living art. You should you should address yourself in such a way, right? This, like, you really should. And maybe I'll write a little bit more about that in detail, but like, you really should address yourself as you are art, because you are like, you are a creation. Like, you're a living creation. Okay. That was so good. I'm following. Thank you. I love you, Tori. It's resonating. Yes, Sierra. Yes, all good. Miss you, miss you. I love you guys so much. Okay. These are the basic principles. There's 10 of them. Okay. And I will make sure to put the basic principles in the public class notes. And if there's like any extra insights, I'll put them in the paid subscriber notes for you guys too. Okay. Basic principles. Number 1, creativity is the natural order of life. Life is energy, pure creative energy. 2, there's an underlying, indwelling creative force infusing all of life, including ourselves. 3, when we open ourselves to our creativity, we open ourselves to the Creator's creativity within us and our lives. 4, we are ourselves creations. And we, in turn, are meant to continue creativity by being creative ourselves. 5, creativity is God's gift to us. Using our creativity is our gift back to God. 6, the refusal to be creative is self-will and is counter to our true nature. 7, when we open ourselves to exploring our creativity, we open ourselves to God, good, orderly direction. 8, as we open our creative channel to the Creator, many gentle but powerful changes are to be expected. 9, it is safe to open ourselves up to our greater and greater creativity. 10, our creative dreams and yearnings come from a divine source. As we move toward our dreams, we move toward our divinity. So there are a few that I have highlighted in my book. I really did read the book, y'all. I'm not like joking. I read the book. It's number 4, number 7, number 10. Number 4, we ourselves are creations. Again, like, when you really sit with that understanding, it changes how you show up for yourself in life, how you let people respond to you, how you let people engage with you, who you engage with. It's like a healthier way to be full of yourself, is the best way I can put it, where it's like, no, I actually am art. And you will address me as such. Otherwise, I don't want nothing. I don't have to talk to you. We don't have to engage in that way. And when you have that level of respect for yourself, you in turn give that level of respect to other people. Like, when I engage with my people, with my loved ones, they are art to me. They are these precious living miracles that I get lucky enough to interact with. It changes the entire dynamic of how I see and view them in their humanity, you know? Um, The other one that I have highlighted, we are open when we open ourselves to exploring our creativity, we open ourselves to God, good orderly direction. Yes, we stay in alignment when we are creative. Think about any time where you felt like you were at rock bottom. Anytime. We've all had rock bottom moments. There's all of us have. I've had too many to count. I don't really enjoy talking about them, but we all have had moments where we're like, can it get worse? Do I want it to get worse? Why would I even want to talk about that, right? And in those moments, it's because you're not creative. You haven't done anything close to expressing your beauty or your art. You've just been weighed down. You've been weathered by reality, by responsibility, by people's lack of creativity around you, by them themselves being blocked artists or you being a blocked artist. Like, it's because you're not connected to creativity that you don't know where to go, that you are confused, that you don't have any clarification on what next steps to take. But the moment you start creating, whether that's singing, whether that's dancing, whether that's writing something down, you ever notice that all of a sudden there's like a mustard seed of hope that comes up and you're like, oh, I think I can get through this. I think I can rebuild. I think that there's more to life. I think that I have something worth living for. That is because of your creativity. That is because of art. And we do not give it enough respect. And I think that's why we often end in loops that feel very familiar to us. And we're like, oh, wow, I feel like I've been here before. I want you the next time you feel like you have that experience, check in and see when's the last time that I experienced art? Last time I went to a museum and just stared at the colors. Or last time I went out and listened to live music. Last time I painted in my house. Like, just ask yourself, and you'd be very, very shocked to find that it's probably been weeks, if not months. It takes a lot for us to get to rock bottom, by the way, but because we're not many of us are not well documented on our journey, we don't see the spiral. We just realize that we're there because being rock bottom makes you super present. Like, there's nothing, there's nothing else to look at. You're on the ground. You feel it, you know? So being able to be in that space makes you more present and more aware. But I think it's when we're in that space, we don't know what to ask ourselves because we're so overcome by the grief of like, oh my gosh, I'm not at my best. And I feel like I have no resources. But these types of texts, this type of reading, this type of understanding gives us better questions to ask in those moments of like, okay, whoo, I'm ebbing right now, right? What's happening? What is unsatisfying in my life right now? Where's the art in my life? Where's art missing in my life? Maybe there's art missing in my romance. Maybe life needs to be more romantic. I can start with me. Maybe there's art missing in my friendships. Am I really looking at the beauty of the people that I love, that I call my friends, that I call my sisters? Am I honoring their truth? Right? We begin asking these thoughtful questions while we're ebbing, and then we find ways to refine, to realign, and then we can go back into that flow. Okay? Yes, it's a beautiful list. Yeah. Yes, on art. Art is sacred. Art is sacred. So those are our daily reads. All right. Now we're going to get into the how you can use this book for your own creative recovery. I'm very excited. I adore these applications. Me too. Like, those three really got me personally. But when you rewatch this, let me know which one is your favorite one. If you're watching the replay, let me know which one of the 10 really resonated with you. Because every time I reread the book, because I've read this book several times, I just completed it in its entirety this last summer. But every time I read this chapter in between, there was always a different one that really fit where I was at in that moment. Yes. It's like creating is enacting, embodying spirituality. I think that they're, like she says, like they're one and the same. I cannot be creative and not be spiritual. Because like creativity really is a spiritual act, right? It really is an act of moving in alignment with divinity, bringing something to life out of nothing. It's almost as fascinating as like creating a child, you know? Like when I really sit back and I was looking at my sister, even myself during my own pregnancy, I was just like, this wow, like I out of nothing something is happening. Like this is a lot. Like my nephew's here, a real person outside of my sister's body. But I remember when like we just saw like the second heartbeat. You know what I mean? Like these are things that, how is that not a spiritual experience? And that in itself is art. And the same thing when you have a blank canvas and all of a sudden these ideas or this vision comes to you to add certain colors and blend them together, add certain shapes. And all of a sudden now you have this beautiful thing to look at afterward. It came from essentially from nothing, right? But then you really think about it and it came from spirituality. What planted that idea in your head? What moved you to want to bring something to life? Those are the questions that I feel like asking really help you to better understand the importance of creativity and how creativity and spirituality are essentially one and the same. If you're creative, you're spiritual. If you're spiritual, you're creative. Now, people who may be tied directly to religion, that's not to say that you're not religious or that, what you're experiencing in your religion is not valid. There can be layers to this. You're a person. You're allowed to have complexity, right? One and the same. So real. This book is such a journey. It's such a journey, Tori. Like, it's going to be so good. Yes, child brought through spirit. Yes, through and from spirit. Yeah, exactly. Okay. How to use this book for your creative recovery. There are a number of ways to use this book. Most of all, I invite you to use it creatively. She says the word a lot, by the way. This section offers you a sort of roadmap through the process with some specific ideas about how to proceed. Some students have done the course solo. Others have formed circles to work through the book together. That's us, okay? No matter which way you choose, the artist way will work for you. First, you may want to glance through the book to get a sense of territorial cover. I might list all the chapters, themes for you guys. Maybe I'll do that if you don't have the book itself. So that'll be helpful. Much of the work is really play, and the course takes little more than 1 hour a day. And we'll be doing that 1 hour to kick off the week. And then if you can provide 1 hour a day, then do 1 hour a day. If you can't, you can't. Like really meet yourself where you're at. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to show up and to complete the 12 weeks. I repeat that over and over and over again because my perfectionism has stopped me from completing this book for a very long time. I don't care if you do one task or no task. You showing up, you watching a replay, you leaving your insights in the comments, it is enough. Can there be more? Always. But the goal is just to finish, okay? I just realized now that I'm probably not going to go over too much of how she wants you to use it creatively because I have my own expectations that I want to share. This is going to be such an amazing journey for all of us together. That is my main goal for us is to complete this book, right? And to allow each chapter to open you up, okay? Like those intentions are very real. You deserve to experience creativity in your life. You deserve to see how much of an artist you are. You deserve to see more beauty in your life. You deserve to see how much more you can expand. You deserve to revisit old hobbies and old desires. You deserve all of those things. And I really feel like this space that we're cultivating for the next 12 weeks will provide you that ability to do so. And I'm so excited to see what we come up with. Like, what's going to come out this time? Because you guys, when you're reading my essays that are on Substack, that's from me doing this work. And every time I drop something new, I'm like, oh, this is my best work. I reread my stuff all the time. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, let me reread it. And it's because one, my ego is healthy, but two, because I really am tapping into source when I am writing, when I'm sharing, when I'm doing these things. And it feels good to witness my own art. To know that I completed something is like a big deal to me because I have been stunted so often by perfectionism where I've stopped almost at the finish line because I'm worried about how weird the steps were that I took to get there. And it's like those steps are behind me. You think you would be like, okay, the finish line's over here. No, I'm over here like, I guess I could have did that better, right? Or, let me go back and redo that eighth step because that step was like weird, right? Like, what if somebody felt some? And it's like, girl, you're literally almost done. You're denying yourself the satisfaction of completing something to go back to something that you actually are already done with. We do that so often as creatives, as teachers, as educators. And we put it under the guise of like, well, we're becoming better, right? We're evolving. We're making sure that what we give out is our best work. But sometimes it's just about like getting the work out. And if you want to, if you have the time and the energy to circle back around, to refine and edit it, then go for it. But like, get the shit out there. Whether it's good or bad to you is irrelevant to the fact that it is you and it is complete. Let it be that offering, because you never know how it's going to bless you. If we're constantly trying to upgrade it and fix it, we never know what the blessing is. What's the point? This is me talking to me, obviously. Okay. Yeah, been there. Yeah. Like, it's exhausting. Let's hear it for witnessing our own art. Yes. Be your own mirror. Period. Okay. Is there anything else that I want to like share from here? No, we can go to basic tools. Okay. So there are two pivotal tools in creative recovery: the morning pages and the artist state. A lasting creative awakening requires the consistent use of both. I like to introduce them both immediately at a sufficient length to answer most of your questions. This chapter explains these tools carefully and in depth. So the morning pages are really beautiful, and so is the artist way. And I think we can kind of talk through these. I have some things that are highlighted. Let me know. Do you want me to read it straight from the page, or do you want me to read the things that I have highlighted? Because I can do either or I can do both. We have time to do both. Just let me know what feels best for you. Because some of it is like a little wordy. She is a writer, but let me know. Okay? What feels best for you. Because I have a lot of things that are highlighted that we can talk about. I can also use my highlighted sections and write about something later. Okay. Okay. Highlights, both? Okay. Let's do a mix. Okay. All right. So the morning pages. In order to retrieve your creativity, you need to find it. I ask you to do this by an apparently pointless process I call the morning pages. You will do the pages daily through all the weeks of the course, and I hope much longer. I've been doing them for over a decade now. I have students who have worked with them nearly that long and who would no more abandon them than breathing. Okay? She talks about one of her artists that uses it. The morning pages are the primary tool of creative recovery. As Blocked artists, we tend to criticize ourselves mercilessly. Even if we look like functioning artists to the world, we feel like we never do enough and what we do isn't right. We are victims of our own internalized perfectionism. A nasty internal and eternal critic, the censor, who resides in our left brain and keeps us in a constant stream of subversive remarks that are often disguised as the truth. The censor says wonderful things like, "You call that writing? What a joke. You can't even punctuate. If you haven't done it by now, you never will. You can't even spell. What makes you think you can be a creative?" And on and on. Make this a rule. Always remember that your censor's negative opinions are not the truth. This takes practice. By spilling out of bed and straight onto the page every morning, you learn to evade the censor. Because there is no wrong way to write the morning pages. The censor's opinion doesn't count. Let your censor rattle on, and it will. Just keep your hand moving across the page. Write down the censor's thoughts if you want to. Note how it loves to aim for your creative jugular. Make no mistake, the censor is out to get you. It's a cunning foe. Every time you get smarter, it does too. So you wrote one good play, the censor tells you that's all there is. So you drew your first sketch, the censor says, it's not Picasso. Think of the censor as a cartoon serpent. Don't think of it as a serpent. There's nothing wrong with snakes, y'all. I don't know why people demonize snakes like this, but for the sake of me reading it, but like, snakes are good, okay? Snakes are feminine. Please, all animals are sacred. I don't even know what to compare it to because like, compare it to a cartoon political figure. I'll leave it at that. Slithering around your creative Eden, hissing vile things to keep you off guard. If that political person doesn't appeal to you, you might want to find a good cartoon image of your censor, maybe a shark from Jaws, or put an X through it. Post it where you tend to write or on the inside cover of your notebook, just making the censor into a little nasty, clever little character. That begins to pry loose some of its power over you and your creativity. So I'm going to pause here and break down two things he talks about. One, yeah, right? Snakes. Snakes are good. Yes, I am House of Slytherin too. So like, please, just not too much of snakes. Like some of them are some of them do a lot, but they're good people. Okay. Anyway, so she talks about the morning pages, and I actually started my new journal. So my morning pages are here. Okay. And the purpose of them is to document. And I'm going to be dropping something on that soon about the importance of documentation. People who have done EFT sessions with me, you guys know how I'm always saying document your journey, document, because it's really important. And it's for this exact reason. Writing out my thoughts every morning, the relief that I get, I can feel the pressure when I don't do it. I can feel it throughout the day of like, oh, my mind was not emptied this morning. And now it feels like it's overwhelmed. Like it's just too much stuff going on in there, right? And the reason why you have your morning pages is to have a space to just dump all of it out, the good, the bad, the ugly. When I write every morning, like it's literally on my bed. My notebook is on my bed so that I don't have an excuse not to do it. I give myself 30 minutes, but you may not have that time, whatever time frame works for you. But I write until I stop. And I write about everything, my dreams, worries, fears, my desires, my to-do list. Sometimes I just write until those 3 pages are full or until I feel like I'm at a good space to stop and my mind feels a little bit less pressure moving through it. There's going to be a part of the journey where she asks you to go back and revisit your morning pages. And when I did it this time and I read through my notes, I was fascinated by just how much I know. Just how much I'm willing to explore, how honest I am with myself, how aware I am. It wasn't a cringy moment for me. She kind of describes in the book that it's kind of cringy. There are going to be a lot of things that she describes that I will probably contradict personally. But everyone has their own journey, and I really want to stay true to that. My censor is a very different experience. My censor is a perfectionist in the sense of it's not her saying, oh, you'll never be enough. It's like, you can do more. Do you see how it's the same exact sentence though? But one feels ambitious and driven. It's like under that guise. But really and truly, I am saying I haven't done enough. And I don't know if that's just like a Black woman experience because like we're kind of trained to like really go above and beyond. But that is my inner censor. She's never telling me like you're not good. She never says like, oh, that's your best work. She's like, girl, keep going. Like you're a fucking genius. Showcase that shit. And sometimes it's like, girl, I just need to get it done. I don't need to do the genius level thing all the time, 24/7. Like that's not a way to live life, right? So morning pages help you to do that. Now, one thing that I suggested in my emails is that your morning pages should be whatever works best for you. Not everybody is a writer, and I love to respect the modifications of life, right? So maybe that might mean getting on your phone or on your laptop and video diary, right? Like video journaling each morning for 5 minutes and just talking about random things that come up in your mind. And that way you'll be able to visually see how you look and how you feel throughout the different times of this journey. It might mean voice noting because it might be really hard for you to write down. That's cool too. Whatever you have to do to document, I just want you to document for the next 12 weeks. I want you to take it one day at a time and just note that you are alive and that you are feeling things and that those things are valid, whether no one else feels that way or not. Does that make sense? That's like really, really important. And then making it the primary tool. There are going to be times when you don't want to do this. I still want you to try. Even if it's like one sentence. One time I wrote down a page like, I'm not doing it today. That's my morning page. You know, also a little moody, a little spicy. It was what it was, but I still showed up. That, again, the end result is that you show up. However you show up is good enough for this season that we're in, okay? Make sure that I answered all those questions and insights. Okay. Yeah, let that pressure out. Yes, yes, yes. That's a great way to think about it. Empty your mind. Yeah, yeah. I am a Gemini rising. There's so many things going on in my mind. You will see it as we go through this journey. Like, am I very present in this moment? Yes. Am I also thinking about the scheduling of my next content for the next 6 months? Yes. Am I thinking about if my nephew is running outside in a diaper? Because I feel like that's what he's doing. That's what I'm hearing. Also, yes. There's a lot going on. Imagine carrying all those thoughts all the time throughout the day, from when you wake up to when you go to sleep. Do you know how irritable you'll become if you have no place to place them? Nowhere else? Sometimes you can't go and vent to a friend. Sometimes you can't afford to go and see like a therapist and really you need something. This is that something. Your voice notes are that something. Your video diary is that something. I document across all platforms. I have a journal, I have voice notes with ideas that come up when I'm like working out to my Snapchat is personal. People don't even know I have a Snapchat. It's literally for me. So I have video document proof that I was happy at some point in my life because sometimes I think that I was never happy, which is dramatic but real because I'm a human being experiencing all these complex emotions sometimes. But I document my life so that I can witness my existence. So that when I'm moving throughout the world, my mind is not so clouded by all these things. And when I get to write it out and I review it, I'm like, oh, it actually wasn't that deep, girl. Like you just were going through something or you're in your luteal phase. You're actually fine. But I would have forgot if I didn't write it down. So I really want us to really take away from that. Like that's that primary thing. Please make sure that you journal every day. Again, journaling, whether it's a video diary, audio diary, I don't care. I just want you to do it every day. Trust yourself. Believe that you can do it every day. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe even longer. Some days I write 10 pages, some days I write three. But I always show up. And I want you to get into that habit of doing that as well. Okay? Yeah, I think it would be cute to make a little Lizzie McGuire type cartoon for my Censor. I love that. That'd be so cute. That'd be so, so cute. I don't know if I have a version of my Censor, like where I've identified it before. My Censor is very attuned to like fear for me. And I often speak about how fear is not like a bad thing. It's not like this evil thing to eradicate and get rid of and kill off. Cause I just feel like that's so traumatic. Like, wow, that's, that's a lot. I'm not into that. But my fear is something that sits in the backseat. Like, go and enjoy the view. Okay, you seem a little worried, a little concerned. I get it. But also, we're going to be fine. But you don't get in the driver's seat. You can't fucking drive. You can't drive. Like that's where my boundary is. And the Censor is the same way, where it's like I hear what you're saying. Can I do and be more? Can this evolve and expand? It sure can. Because I am infinite and limitless. Absolutely. But for today we're done. Today we're done. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be good. Right? And that took a lot of practice for me to get to that space to be able to speak to it with that sense of love. I have admiration and care for both my fear and Censor. I don't feel like my Censor is this horrible thing out to get me all the time. I genuinely believe my Censor just wants me to be my absolute best self by any means necessary. It's the by any means necessary that becomes a little, harmful of like, girl, I'm not about to lose sleep over this, right? Or not take care of myself or sacrifice things or joy so that I can produce something for other people to experience joy from. But I didn't get to do it for myself first. Like, I'm not doing all of that. And that takes time to get to that space. But I do want to share that understanding that I firmly believe that things that are of you are not evil. They're not these wicked things that you have to eradicate or get rid of. I just think that they are misunderstood. And if you slow down a little bit and give yourself time and patience and grace to feel through it, you'll notice where it's coming from. And then you'll be able to soothe it instead of having to kill it off. There's no part of me that I would kill off. I'm not interested in killing any pieces of me. I like me as a whole being, the weird and the profound, personally. Yeah, I just started recording by voice yesterday. Yes, Jack. Sometimes I just write no. Right. Sometimes I just feel like this is all you're getting from me, girl. Hi, my name is. I wrote down a date. It's a Sunday, Ancestors Day. It's a full moon. Like, and I'm really serious about it. And I leave it at that. Because again, this is how we break through the perfectionism. This is how we break through the stopping, the self-sabotaging of us completing something. Okay. Yes, yes. Fear, backseat, okay, if you aren't yeah. Like, fear should be there. I know people are gonna be like, "What, girl?" Like, and I have a tattoo on my back that says, like, "Bien mido," like, "Live without fear." But, like, really and truly, you should have some level of fear. Fear is healthy. Fear is like, "Okay, girl, maybe we shouldn't go off the cliff because you might die." Yeah, I need to know that. If I'm fearless, I'm gonna think I can survive, and I may not be able to survive that, right? It's about knowing its place in your life. When I talk about that, proverbial car, I'm not in the driver's seat sometimes. Most times it's spirit. I like to be a passenger princess. That's my jam, personally. That's what I love. That's me. Okay. Passenger princess, spirit is driving. I'm looking around like, oh, we should go over here. That'll be so much fun. Like, oh my God, how cute. I got the playlist going. I have the vibes, right? In the back seat is my ego, maybe doing a little bit of backseat driving situation every now and then, getting upset or whatever, and my fear. Like, y'all are back there. Okay? Buckled up. I will tune in, listen if I need to, but most times we're just vibing because I really do appreciate the fact that we can coexist. All these things live within me. But the only thing that's allowed to drive me forward outside of myself would be spirit. But I am very much a passive princess. I love it there. It works for me. Sometimes a little crazy ride, like where are we going? But most times I enjoy it. Okay. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. I want to talk about this. Morning pages are non-negotiable. Never skip or skim on morning pages. Your mood doesn't matter. The rotten thing your censor says doesn't matter. We have this idea that we need to be in the mood to write. We don't. Morning pages will teach you that your mood doesn't really matter. Some of the best creative work gets done on days when you feel that everything you're doing is just plain junk. The morning pages will teach you to stop judging and just let yourself be. So what if you're tired, crabby, distracted, stressed? Your artist is a child and it needs to be fed. Morning pages feeds your artist child. So write your morning pages. Do anything until you have filled 3 pages. That's her main thing there. Again, I say do it until it feels good personally. And there's a concept where when you're doing your morning pages, take it like time to spend with your inner child. So in those moments where it is hard for you to write something, sometimes you're gonna be able to get out of your mood, sometimes you're not going to. But in those moments where you kind of have a little bit of gumption to move through a bad mood, talk to your inner child and see what they want to do today. Set an intention with them. Like, do they want to play more today? Do they really want to go to the park? When last time we went to the park? Do they want to go and be near water or a certain element that makes you feel alive? You can also journal about that and just have a conversation with them. Ask them what they want to be called, right? Mine is Baby Low. She loves being called Baby Low. It's her jam. It's her thing. But like, get to take that time to get to know each other that way as well. All those things are valid in your journey, okay? Mm-mm-mm. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to tell you. Yeah. You're also going to discover a lot about yourself as you write in your morning pages. Even if you're not rereading them, you're going to witness things about who you are and you're going to really enjoy them. And you're going to also be a little uncomfortable about them. Leave all that on the page or in the video. Be honest about it in those spaces, okay? But once you're honest about it in those spaces, leave it there because you have to go live life. You have to go embrace the titles in your life. You have to go and make money in this world, right? But have a space to be honest with yourself. I'm so honest with myself in these books, like very, very honest. And I'm honest to a point that if somebody were to read my journals, I wouldn't feel embarrassed or ashamed of like, oh my God, like you read my inner thoughts. I'd be a little like, that's crazy that you chose to make that type of decision in your life. That feels very dangerous for you when it comes to my ancestors, but that's not my business. But for me personally, it's like, I'm not going to feel ashamed for having a space where I can be honest. We're under constant surveillance all the freaking time, right? It's so hard for us. Yes, I'm so happy. It's so hard for us to feel safe, or to say like, actually, this person pissed me off, and I really almost reverted back to my old ways. You don't maybe you don't have somebody you could talk to about that, but you can do it in your book. You do it in your videos. You can allow yourself that space, and if someone cannot respect that, you have to be okay. That's kind of like the risk that comes with being a creative is that somebody might see your art, your raw thoughts, your passion, and not understand it. And then you can often let them know, like, that wasn't for you to understand. Otherwise, I would have given it to you for you to read, right? We want to keep those things in mind too. Because being an artist is a little scary sometimes. Now I want to talk about the artist date. Now I still struggle with the artist date. I'm gonna be very, very open with you. I'm better at it, but I still struggle with it. So we're going to talk about it. The other basic tool of the artist way may strike you as a non-tool or a diversion. You may see clearly how morning pages could work, yet find yourself highly dubious about something called an artist date. I assure you, artist dates work too. Think of this combination of tools in terms of a radio receiver and transmitter. It is a two-step, two-directional process, out and then in. Doing your morning pages, you are sending, notifying yourself and the universe of your dreams, dissatisfactions, and hopes. Doing your artist dates, you are receiving, sending yourself, opening yourself to insight, inspiration, and guidance. I'm going to read that one more time. Doing your morning pages, you are sending, notifying yourself and the universe of your dreams, dissatisfactions, and hopes. Doing your artist date, you are receiving, opening yourself to insight, inspiration, and guidance. But what exactly is an artist date? An artist date is a block of time, perhaps 2 hours weekly, especially set aside and committed to nurturing your creative consciousness, your inner artist. In its most primary form, the artist date is an excursion, a play date that you can pre-plan and defend against all interlopers. You do not take anyone on this artist date, but you and your inner artist, aka your creative child. That means no lovers, friends, spouses, or children, no tagger-ons of any stripe. If you think this sounds stupid or that you will never be able to afford the time, identify the reaction as resistance. You cannot afford not to find time for an artist date. Do you spend quality time with each other? Troubled couples often asked by the therapist. Parents of disturbed children are asked the same thing. Well, what do you mean quality time? Is the usual weaselly response. We spend a lot of time together, yes, but is it quality time? Do you ever have any fun together? The therapist may press. Fun? Who ever heard of having fun in a rotten relationship like this one? Do you go on dates just to talk, just to listen to each other? Dates, but we're married, too busy, too broke, too scared the therapist might interrupt. It is frightening to spend quality time with a child or lover, and our artists can be seen to us as both. A weekly artist date is remarkably threatening and remarkably productive. A date with my artist? Yes. Your artist needs to be taken out, pampered, and listened to. There are as many ways to evade this commitment as there are days in our lives. I'm too broke is a favorite one. Although no one said the date needed to involve elaborate expenses. Your artist isn't child. Time with a parent matters more than money spent. A visit to a great junk store, a solo trip to the beach, an old movie seen alone, a visit to an aquarium or an art gallery. These cost time, not money. Remember, it is the time commitment that is sacred, excuse me. And looking for a parallel, think of the child of divorce who gets to see a beloved parent only on weekends. During most of the week, your artist is in custody of a stern workday adult. What that child wants is attention, not expensive outings. What that child does not want is to share that precious parent with someone else, like a new significant other. Spending time in solitude with your artist is essential for self-nurturing. A long country walk, a solitary expedition to the beach for a sunrise or sunset. Going to a strange church to hear gospel music, to an ethnic neighborhood to taste foreign sights and sounds. I don't know, it's a little interesting. Your artist might enjoy any of these, or your artist might like bowling. Commit yourself to a weekly artist date and then watch your killjoy side try to wriggle out of it. Watch how this sacred time gets easily encroached upon. Watch how the sacred time suddenly includes a third party. Learn to guard against these invasions. Above all, learn to listen to what your artist child has to say on and about these joint expeditions. For example, oh, I hate this serious stuff, your artist may exclaim if you persist in taking it on a grown-up place date, right? Listen to that. It is telling you your art needs more playful inflow. A little fun can go a long way toward making your work feel more like play. We forget that imagination at play is at the heart of all good work. And increasing our capacity for good creative work is what this book is about. Okay, that was a mouthful. But essentially, an artist date is that time for you to get to know your artist more. And I personally still struggle with that. Sometimes I go on a sister date, right? And I bring my sister because she helps my inner artist feel playful. Sometimes when I'm on my own having an artist date, it is like really hard for me to get out of the serious mode. And I need encouragement. I have chosen to modify. So there are some options. Again, I'm a bit rebellious when it comes to rules. Like I listen to them, I respect them, and then I kind of do what I want. But I want you to do whatever feels best for you. I do think that there should be solo artist dates, though. I don't know if I'm ready yet. Maybe in this journey, I might be to do it every single week. But I do have a solo artist date at least twice a month. And then I have my sister dates, and I have my girlfriend dates, and I have my niece dates. And these are all ways where I still get to connect to my inner child because my inner child loves to play with other people too, loves to have fun with other people, loves to witness other people's genius. And I think that's important to give give my inner artist both of those things. I'm inspired by the people that are around me. There's no one in my life that I am not in awe of. All of my girlfriends are incredible human beings. My sisters are some of the most beautiful beings that I've ever known. And I'm constantly inspired by them. And being around them makes me feel joyful and playful and silly and fun in ways that I can easily forget through the work that I do, through the life that I live. So for me, my artist date does include them. And I'm being very transparent right now. I'm pretty sure Julie's gonna be like, girl, this is literally what I said not to do in the book. And I hear her and I hold space for that. And then I'm gonna speak my truth because I feel like not being honest with you would defeat the purpose of this entire experience. Do what feels best for you, but have those moments. I did an artist day recently where I went to a concert by myself for the first time as an adult. And it was a lot. I was like low key panicking. But when I went and I was able to be present in the artistry and the beauty and not having to have a conversation or explain anything to somebody else about what the artist was talking about or things like that, just being present, it reminded me of the importance of having that solo time, of being able just to be engaging with the play, engaging with the art, with the beauty, without having to filter or teach or do any of those other things, to be really selfish in my time with myself. And that is a very healing experience that I think we all deserve to have, especially if you have a title of parent or educator or caregiver, or influencer. Like, you need time just for yourself to be able to pull from beauty, to be cared for by it, to be carried by it, to see what it inspires in you. And then that inspiration can maybe be towards other people if that feels right to you. But the root of it, of being alone, of being like, this one thing is just for me, I do think we need more of that. I think that's very important on our artist journey. Okay, let me just read this. Yes, baby Lo. Yes, I love her to pieces. That's my girl. Yes. Oh, of course, Summer. That feels dangerous for you. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It does. Morning pages, yes. Sending, artist dates, receiving. Yeah, you need that back and forth, that duality, right? And I will say this too. I also notice that when I am just writing my morning page and I don't do an artist date, I feel lopsided. I feel lopsided. Like, it's like, okay, the way I can explain this for like people who are practitioners, it's like when you do the whole detox bath, right? Or you're constantly cleansing your aura, constantly selenite wands and sage and Palo Santo. Like, I'm cleansing, 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 and you feel very open and free, but then you don't know what to do with any of it. So then what ends up happening is that all this shit that you just got rid of kind of comes back because there was nothing to fill in that empty space. When we do the detoxing and the cleansing, we're supposed to do something that sweetens life right afterwards. Right? In my practice, that's what I was taught from my elders. You do like a sweetener bath, a bath with sugar, with honey. I have a recipe on my Substack for you guys too. That brings sweetness into your life. So then you have a foundation there. I did all that cleansing to add sweetness in, not just to be bare and open. So when I do a lot of morning pages and I don't do an artist date, I feel like I'm just crazily detoxing and I'm not nourishing myself again. If I just do my artist dates, it just feels overwhelming of like I have all this built up energy of like beauty and love and inspiration is all inside of me and it's not going anywhere. It's just compounding and not in a good way. I'm starting to feel overwhelmed in my body because it's an influx of energy that's just going everywhere but where it needs to be. So you do want that duality, and it is important. And I love that I was able to go over this with you guys again because it even fortifies the importance of having those artist dates even more for me personally. Of like, yeah, I want to continue to have sweetness in my life, and artist dates do provide me that metaphorical sweetener bath. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay. Hi, Jamila. Hi, Veronica. The book is The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. There we go. We'll be going over it for the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much, Jack. Yes, these modifications very thoughtful. I thought so. Thanks. No problem. Yes, that lends to the collective care and being a culture worker. Exactly, Veronica. I agree. There's no one in my life that I'm not in awe of. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. And you hear yourself speaking your own truth. Yes, 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 yes. Selfish with our time. It ain't radical per se. It's necessary. It's so necessary. Like, oh my, it's so necessary. Having that time just to be with me, you know? And again, my life is set up where most of the time I am by myself. Like my mornings, like the first 4 or 5 hours of my day, I am alone. Like unless I am doing something that I have scheduled into my life, like maybe going to see my niece at her school or dropping my nephew off, things like that. Most times I am by myself in the first few hours. So I also think that that might be why I don't tend to always go for an artist date every week because I have a lot of alone time with myself, but it's not intentional in the sense of engaging in beauty and art. It's more of like I just need time to decompress. I have a lot of shit going on in my head. I'm constantly channeling. There's a lot going on. I just need time to like be by myself. But when you are self first, I like to use self first because I feel like selfish can be a little. I'm like, how do I want to express this? When I say self first, it means that I am intentionally and responsibly putting myself first. I'm not taking away from anyone. I don't have to because there's enough resources and energy and intention for me to put myself first without it being of harm to people that I care about. If I don't care about you, I really don't know. I haven't processed that deep. But if I care about you, I want to put myself first because it's beneficial to me. And ultimately, if it's beneficial to me, it'll be beneficial to you. When we talk about selfishness, sometimes it could be where I have to take back what I've given, take back time, take back resources, take back energy so I don't feel depleted. And I don't necessarily think that that's necessary when we can kind of move with more intention and plan to have that time for ourselves before it impedes on our responsibility to our communities. That's my personal belief for me, but it can be whatever it is for you. Okay. Yes. Rising paid sending. Yes. Cultural worker date receiving. Yes. Oh, I love that. That's so good. Finding the empty space. Yes. Oh, I like the sending receiving template, Jack. Yeah, that was really good, Jack. So good. Makes all the sense. Low, over over shoulder. It's not. This is a random picture that I got at Ross. And I just like, she's just so beautiful. But you know what? Maybe. Because I haven't had an Oshun statue in a very long time. An ex of mine broke it. And this is also why they are an ex, but that's neither here nor there. But maybe now. Black Madonna's in the corner over there, but you guys can't see her. But maybe. I gotta sit with that now. Perhaps. I don't know, Jack. You might be onto something. Yeah, self first. Yeah. Okay, cool. We're on the same page. Uh, okay. So she has a contract at the end of this chapter before we get into week one. And week one is next week, by the way. We're not getting into week one today. So just prep so that we have a better understanding, right? No, you're fine. Uh and the contract says, like, I put your name in, understand that I am undertaking an intensive guided encounter with my own creativity. I commit myself to the 12-week duration of the course. I, your name, commit to weekly reading, daily morning pages, and a weekly artist date and the fulfillment of each week's task. I further understand that this course will raise issues and emotions for me that I deal with. And it's so funny that she says that. This is why we have EFT for these sessions, by the way, because that part, when I read in the contract, I'm like, girl, you leaving people to manage the amount of trauma that comes up when you explore your inner childhood wounds. But I'm like, you know what? This was written a long time ago. This book was the 30th anniversary. I'm 34. So, trauma informed work wasn't, as profound and as well known as it is now. I was like, girl, that's a lot. This explains so much. This explains so much. Anyway, I commit myself to excellent self-care, adequate sleep, diet, exercise, and pampering for the duration of this course. And you sign your name and you do your date. You can do that yourself if you want to. Honestly, committing to this 12 weeks with me by just subscribing, whether it's paid or not, is irrelevant to me. But subscribe so you get the notifications for the lives. I think that that's more than enough. Because even if you can't watch it live when it's happening, you can always replay this video. It'll be available by Tuesday of the following week so that you can have time to process. So by Sunday, you can let us know if there's anything that came up for you during your artist date or things like that. What I wanted to do before we signed off for this orientation and prep week is answer any questions and to make sure that everyone feels really good about this. So you don't need the book. The actual chapters themselves, I'm going to read. This was just kind of like information where I'm like, sometimes she's like, you know, when people are selling you something and they like tell you the testimonials of their other students, some of them are necessary, but I didn't think any of them were necessary for this section in particular. But for the actual weeks, I will be reading um the chapters themselves. Okay. Do I recommend getting the book? I will always recommend getting a hardcover book because I'm a book lover. I literally listened to a podcast episode yesterday and ended up getting the book that the podcaster was talking about. Like, I don't have enough books to read. So I say yes because you might need to write in it. So if you notice, I have like sticky notes in mine. Um, Sometimes it like inspires like EFT sections or topics that I want to write about later. And I do that for myself because I like to have conversations in my books with me because I know I'm going to end up rereading a book like this. You're going to reread over and over again. It's like Sacred Woman or All About Love, right? You're gonna come back to this every so often. I leave notes in my book so I can come back to it and see where I was at. I personally, because I'm a little anal, I leave them in different colors. So depending on the color, lets me know what year it was, and I put it in the front as a way to document that. You don't need to do that. Again, I tend to be a little bit extra, but you can also get the audiobook if you want to. I listened to the audiobook in its entirety the first time I even was attuned to the book 4 years ago, and it was a lot for me to take in, and it felt really good. But it's up to you. If you want to get the book, get the book. If you're not a book person per se, maybe get a PDF version of it. I'm not going to say, yes, you need the book because I don't necessarily think you do. And I feel like that's why I'm choosing to read the chapters so that you guys don't have to do that if you don't want to. But if you feel inspired to do this and want to have the book to follow along, by all means, get the book. I don't know if that's like a straightforward answer, but it's an honest one. Okay. Yeah, Sacred Woman, Queen of Four. Yes, yeah. We'll be doing a Sacred Woman journey next year. I'm very excited for that too because that book is very complicated to read. I don't know if anyone has ever gone through it. I did the Sacred Woman journey when I was 14 in person with Queen of Four in Brooklyn, and it was a lot. The book itself is very it's a journey, but it's sacred text, so I don't talk too much about it because she did what she needs to do. It just was a lot to read through. Okay. Yes. Let's see. Ethereal Mama. Thank you for forming this group. I bought the book almost a year ago and couldn't really get started. Yeah, the book will call to you. Let me also put that out there. This book called to me for years, even before the 4 years. And I kept being like, I don't know. And I was on this big thing of like only reading from Black authors. So then Julia Cameron did not fit that description. And I was like, girl, you gotta wait. Because right now I'm in my Black authors phase. But once it came to me and I was there, I had this book and it was so hard for me to open. And it's because you realize that books like this, they take you on a deliberate evolution. And you're constantly evolving. Yes, right? You're always evolving in life, but like it's not as deliberate as you think it is. Or maybe it's more of a like when you transition into your next phase of life, whatever you consider that to be, you get that flashback of life and you realize it was deliberate. But in the moment, it doesn't feel like everything is leading up to something. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like I'm living life, and I'm trying to make it through. But a book like this makes you realize, it makes you so aware of the fact that not only are you living life, but you're also creating your reality. And if you're creating a reality and you're experiencing shit that you don't like, you have the ability to change that. And then that responsibility of knowing that I can change my circumstances can be overwhelming if I am not prepared to take on that responsibility. It's like being forced into adulthood when you're not ready as a child, right? And many of us have that experience and we barely survived that. So if we have something else that we're picking up that can even be remotely similar to that feeling, yeah, we're not going to go into that. This book does do that for you. It makes you address the fact that you've had childhood traumas and wounds that have gone unnoticed, and then you have deliberately lived by those wounds into your adulthood, and they have prevented you from living the life you deserve to live, the life that you dream about. They have left you in shambles. That's not a fun thing to to experience. Like, I did not enjoy knowing that. I was like, oh my God, that sucks. Or you realize that the people in your life that were your tribe or your community were like sabotaging you, right? Or like your partner really wasn't being supportive. There's a lot that she highlights so casually in this book that, yeah, it's not a book that I would openly be like, "Oh my god, go for it, read it in one sitting." It will radically change your life. The same thing like for Women Who Run with the Wolves. That is a radically changing book. That book will change how you show up in all of your relationships. You will never be the same. Books like that, like, ease yourself into them. Take your time. And what we'll be doing over the weeks is doing EFT tapping. So I don't know if anyone who's new here has heard of it, but I just dropped an essay breaking down what it is and why I use it. On my own story with it, but we'll be using that somatic practice to help us get through those humps because those humps are going to be there. And my job as a practitioner is to make sure that I'm holding a safe space for you to explore that. So I've created scripts for each theme that will help you connect the mind and the body to the spirit so you can move through it. So even when we're off of our live together, you can make it through. You can finish those tasks that you agreed to. You can show up the next week and feel ready to engage again. It's really important to me that I help you complete this. It just is what it is. Like, I don't know why it's that important to me, but it is. So yeah, this book is going to be something that we'll get through together. Okay? Here we go. Sorry, I'll be on the lookout. Yes, Tori, make it when you can, please, because I love to see your name. This has Julia has this amazing magazine article. I think everyone would appreciate what email to use. Yeah. Jack, if you have a link to that, do you mind putting it in the we have a group chat on Substack that we can use too. If you can put it in it, that'd be dope because I would want to read that too. Yes, thank you for the article on EFT. Yes, Lotus has got your EFT tapping on EFT. Yes, I do. I have daily EFT tapping for the morning. And then I have like a guided meditation that you could do at night. I need to charge my phone. I just realized it has 7%, guys. Hold on a second. So yeah, I have tons of support that you can use throughout the week. And then again, you'll have access to these replays where the EFT session will be present for you to use. Okay. You'll be able to use them to help you navigate whatever's coming up. Okay. This is going to be a little crooked, but it's fine because we're almost at the end. All right. Make sure everybody's good. Any other questions? Yeah, in the group chat too, because I would love to use it as a resource. And then I can add it to the class notes for this. So what's going to happen is this video is going to take time to process because Substack does its own thing. And then when it's processed and ready to go, I'll be able to save it so you have access to it through my Substack. Okay, so make sure you're subscribed. You don't need to be a paid subscriber to receive the replay. I'm not putting that part behind a paywall. I just would feel wrong. That's not what she asked for. However, what I will do are any more deeper thoughts or insights that I personally have or my class notes and the actual EFT script will be behind the paywall for paid subscribers, but you still have access to the replay, which means you have access to the EFT section. And I'm going to do my best to timestamp it so you can just jump to that if you need to jump to that afterwards. Or if someone rewatches the video and you're like, here's when EFT happened, drop the timestamp, make it a community effort, please. That's so helpful for me. I can't explain to you how much that means. It's a deep act of love. It may not seem like it, but it's a big deal for me. So you'll have these resources every week and it will be free for the entirety. What you'll notice is that in the beginning of each session, I will have linked my Venmo, Cash App, things like that. If you want to donate, you're more than welcome to. If you just want to subscribe, become a paid subscriber, that's great too. If you just can only sign up and like just be a regular subscriber, like that's also fine too. The intention is that we have an energy exchange, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's like, oh, I shared the live. Thank you. Because I want people to engage with this as well. We have a good amount of people on this live right now, and we can make this a bigger experience. I think when more people come together that are in alignment with the frequency we're on, it makes a very rich experience for everybody involved. I want people to feel safe enough to leave their ideas in the chats, to share their wins, and if they have some hiccups or losses along the way too, and know that they're cared for. I have 100% track record of keeping a safe space digitally. I've never had an incident where someone did not feel safe in one of the spaces that I've created. I'm very serious about that. I do a practice to ensure that I don't play about people who are in the space at all, especially when we're being so vulnerable with our creativity and our artistry, which is like a lifeline that many of us don't even realize. So all that is to say, however you want to show up, you can. I'm going to love you regardless. I'm so grateful that you decided to spend all this time with me. I'm always just like, I'm glad that I'm a good time. And yeah, we didn't do an EFT session today because again, it was orientation and prep. But the way the session will go is that I will read the chapter, we will do EFT, then we will focus on a main exercise, and then I will leave the tasks that you can do. 'Cause she leaves like 15 tasks for you to do throughout the week. That's a lot. Personally, you might really love that, and I love that for you. But I will leave the information for you so people who don't have the book still have access to the resources within the book. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Jay. And Jack's been with me for a few years. Like, he can attest to that. Like, yeah, I don't play that. This is a very loving and protective space. Like, 100%. I've never had that experience, but I also do believe it's because of the amount of intention that I put into holding my space, and I just really tend to attract really incredible people, like really loving, kind human beings. We just find each other. I'm always bragging about that, and I'm so grateful about it because being online can feel so dangerous, especially as a Black woman, as a Black femme, as a queer woman. It can just feel like you're constantly being berated. And to be able to come on live and to share personal stories with y'all, to read publicly, there's, and I'm an avid reader. I love to read, but I like to read to myself. So the fact that I'm even comfortable enough to do this or willing to do something like that with hiccups, not being able to edit things, with tripping over my words, it's an act of love. It's because I really want us to complete this book together. I really want to get the information out to whoever. So if money's an issue that you couldn't buy the book, I don't care because I'm reading the book to you. Like it's love. And I think because I show up in that way, my ancestors, God, Black Madonna, Oshun, all the people that I love and I care for and that love and care for me, they make sure that the space is safe. So yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I can't wait. Next week, same time, okay? I will be on at 12. I hop on Insight Time around like 11:55 to say hi to everybody and kind of remind them to come here. So either way, you'll get a notification. But is there anything else I want to say? I love you. I want you to have a good week this week and think about ways that you can tap in to your artist date. The morning pages is going to be a lot easier than you realize. Don't trip up over that. Just show up however you need to, right? But with the artist date, really take some time to see like what would bring you more joy? What would bring you more joy? What would bring you more beauty? What would bring you more pleasure, more playfulness in life? And figure out what that is. And if you can, make a list of 5 ideal artist dates and just kind of rotate them for the month. So when I was first doing it, that's what I did for those 12 weeks. I had 5 themes, like going to a bookstore or a cafe, going to the museum, right? Seeing an artist live, whether that was like a concert or like a poetry slam, something like that. Being near water was that 5th one for me. And then a spa date, like getting like a mani-pedi done and like putting on a good playlist. Like those are the things I would rotate when I didn't have a specific artist date in mind. And you need that because when you talk yourself out of an artist date, and it will happen. It'll totally happen. You're going to definitely talk yourself out of an artist date. You'll have some backup to say, well, actually, I could do one of these things. And she says for 2 hours. I usually do mine for a minimum of an hour, but you can break those down. Maybe it's 15 minutes every day of you like coloring in your coloring book and putting on your playlist. Like whatever it is, but like that's what I want you to focus on this week. That's the intention of like what artist dates can I cultivate for myself so I have a backup for these 12 weeks because the first few weeks, the first 4 weeks are going to be interesting, but it gets hard at week 5 and week 6. Most people fall off by that time. And by that time, I want us to have a wealth of resources that we can lean into when we want to sabotage. Okay? Because it's going to happen. You're human. It is what it is. All right. I'm going to go now and enjoy the rest of my Sunday and probably gush to my sister about how incredible this was and how excited I am that I'm doing this because I tell her everything. And I love you so much. And I'm so in awe of you for showing up to do something like this. This is really dope and really cool. And I really have a good feeling about this experience. I don't know why, but the fact that we're kicking it off on fall equinox, I'm in the northern hemisphere. The fact that we're doing this during fall equinox and it'll last until the solstice, there's just something powerful about cultivating with people intentionally for that amount of time. That's an entire season. Your life can change in an entire season. My life has changed in an entire season. I'm speaking from experience. So please continue to show up the best way that you can and let me know how it feels for you. Engage in my other articles that I have on Substack. They're really good. I promise. I'm not just tooting my own horn. Like, they're really good. They're really helpful. If you're into metaphysics, if you're into mysticism, dark feminine energy, self-care, mental health awareness, somatic practice, rituals and spell work, all of that is within the Dark Divines. And then the Lotus Life is more my practical daily living, things that I love, me being just a human being and a girl. So there's enough for you to get into, and I hope to see you soon. Okay.